You're listening to this episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Hit that subscribe button and leave us a comment. It would greatly benefit the show.
I realized when I popped mine, I put it near the device, not my mic.
Poured water on it. Oh, that was my good idea, Bill. I got a good idea. May the 4th be with you guys.
The 4th be with you, too.
I was thinking of throwing up the Vulcan hand signal as well. Did you know it's the 4th?
No.
Kirk? I know you know. It's the day after Free Comic Book Day. Did you do Free Comic Book Day?
I didn't today. Sometimes it's on Free Comic Book Day.
Oh.
May the 4th is sometimes on. Yeah, that's true. But did you participate in Free Comic Book Day?
I did not. I was chilling at home for the most part. I used to, and then I haven't really bought too many physical comics lately.
Do you have a subscription to one of the digital libraries?
I go to this pirate-themed website.
And you can find all your comics there.
Hello and welcome to Movie Beaters with the Farx brothers. I'm Kirk.
And I'm Kyle.
And we're here with director, animator Tristan Crawford to discuss Thunderbolts.
He's a writer too. I think that's important to say.
I pretty much do it all.
He does.
I PA.
You do PA, which impresses me. We talked to someone who PA'd on The Dogfather recently, Eric Forsman.
Oh, yeah.
This will come out before his episodes come out.
Yeah. You need to get it based on what actually came out. Because his is...
Death... What, his episode?
His is like Death Race.
Death Race 2000 from 1975, yeah. So look forward to that episode coming up.
I wouldn't mind hearing him speak.
Oh, yeah. It's... I believe flabbergasted him a little bit with some of our spicy takes on things.
Yeah.
Really? Like what?
Without
spoilers, get a little teaser.
Well, how about this? You know what Hydra is to the exactly the hand symbol you did just now. I got in a Tesla and I did the exact same thing because my brother-in-law was considering getting a Cybertruck. I was like, don't do this, Keyshawn.
I can understand getting okay, so hot takes aside, I understand whole Tesla and all that. Cybertrucks look ugly as fuck. If we weren't in this political landscape of Elon doing stupid stuff, the Cybertruck still looks stupid. It still looks stupid.
It looks like the car from The Simpsons, yeah. And I got in one, and it was like, this is what a child thinks. And we captured this on a podcast that won't record till next year, or release till next year. But yeah, it's all triangular, and it drives like how a child thinks a car would drive. There's a touch screen to change gears and stuff.
I've seen someone customize it to make it look like a warthog from a Halo.
Oh.
I'm like, okay, cool. If you gotta make your vehicle look like something from a fictional game, you're probably a loser.
Tony Stark would not design the Cybertruck. That's where I think that he and Elon split off. Star of Iron Man 2.
I was going to say he wasn't in Iron Man 3, so that makes sense.
Yeah. So this is the 36th Marvel movie. Does it feel like the 36th Marvel movie to either of you?
Yeah, it kind of feels like they're kind of slogging along a little bit.
Whoa. I mean, Kirk, oh my goodness.
You're saying this one's a slog?
No, not Thunderbolts, but it has been kind of a slog, right? A little bit. They haven't had a lot of success lately.
What was the last one that felt like a slog to you?
Maybe Captain America?
It's going to be one of these. Okay, let's focus on something positive then. How did you would you argue for or against IMAX for this movie?
For.
I thought it used IMAX well. My brother-in-law recently, when we saw Sinners, Keyshawn again, was like, every time it switched, I felt like I was watching a different movie. I was like, yeah, isn't it great? And he's like, no, I just want all one thing. So completely lost on him.
It's weird. People have that thought, and then I have other people that are like, I didn't even notice it was a thing. And then there's people like me and my friends who are like, oh, you see that aspect ratio change? Oh, yeah.
This scene's important because they put the IMAX cameras on it.
Well, I didn't notice the change during Thunderbolts.
You monster. Okay, so a classic thing for non-spoilers, trailers. Too much, not enough.
So, two trains of thought. One, I wish they did not reveal the final third of the movie.
Yes, I do think there was a little bit of that, too much of that in the first trailer even.
Yeah, because with what they're revealing, it's for people that would only be excited if you're MCU related or comic book related. Oh, cool. It's that. But then if you're like a general audience member, it doesn't mean much to you. So it feels like it's just more spoiler. Yeah, I can't say words sometimes. And it's the same thing that we had this conversation about Red Hulk in Captain America Brave New World. It's like, I think the Red Hulk feels way more justified than what they did in this, because Red Hulk, ooh, cool. oh, Red Hulk, that's awesome. Whereas the spoilers for this are just like, you don't care unless you go see the movie or you're interested in that element.
I've got a bait on that. Even though I was in my head clocking, okay, here we got to get to this. This is what's coming next. It didn't bother me because a comparison I'll make to Avengers with the cello player that Colt is dating. Coulson, sorry. Yeah, Coulson's cello player. See, I remember the cello player, but not Coulson.
The cello player? What are you talking about?
In Avengers, Coulson's dating a cello player or something, and he talks to Tony Stark about it.
Yeah, and then Tony offers to fly him out to meet the cello player.
And then when Coulson...
In Avengers?
Avengers 2012, and then when Coulson gets killed, he was like, he was dating a cellist.
I can't tell if you're making a joke right now. None of this.
No, that's really something in Avengers.
Something that happened, yeah.
But
What are you guys talking about?
That's amazing. So you're gonna rewatch the Avengers sometime and catch this?
I will have to watch the Avengers like today, so then I can give you a sound bite of saying, "Oh fuck."
Well, yeah,
no, he was not.
So the point I'm making is that because somewhat of a tertiary character like that has that level of depth to them, I care more about what's going on. So even though I was pretty sure what was going to happen in this movie, I cared about all the characters.
It wasn't so much about the story elements. I'm trying, so we're in non-spoilers.
Yeah, we're non-spoilers.
As a comic book person, I knew because we got this, that means this was going to happen character-wise because comic books. So I kind of wish they didn't reveal that thing was going to be a thing and just left it in the void.
It was originally announced that Steve Ewan was playing Sentry.
Yes.
So, and like if you're somebody who doesn't read comics and you're into MCU movies, that means nothing to you.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I didn't know about the snap. I was vaguely aware of it before Infinity War, but then still.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And
still surprised they did it.
So another example would be the thing. Yeah. They wiped the slate clean with half their characters, then brought them back the next year while killing two of the main ones, Black Widow and Iron Man. I guess the point I'm making is even though there was a lot revealed in the trailers, because it was still so additive when I saw the movie, like that fight that's towards the beginning of the movie that we all saw in the trailers.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, well, we know what's going to happen in this fight. I was still entertained by the fight.
It was a very good fight. Considering who's on the screen right now without spoiling.
We're watching the assembled of Black Widow for our background.
Yeah, everyone, I think, in that fight had their dues. There were characters that are like, if you didn't care about them or know who they were, I'm like, oh, obviously I know who they all are.
Yeah.
But as like a general audience member, I hope that people were like, oh, that's a cool character. And that reminds me of another thing with the trailers. Maybe not even just trailers, but trailers and marketing. You knew what was happening to one character.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that was just I think the person that did marketing just failed on that task. And
they were not a master of their tasks there?
No. It is unfortunate because you can. And I think Marvel started to realize that if you look at some of their newer posters, they're like, this person's a Thunderbolt. This person's a Thunderbolt. And they did say this person's a Thunderbolt, but their poster's different than everyone else's. Oh. If you look at them. So there's that. And I think they tried to do their MCU trailer faking out by adding that one character into a scene later on, but they only do it for one scene and they don't. So everyone was already like, that person's gone. And that's unfortunate because
that character is cool and does cool things.
In this movie, yes. I thought was cool. In Black Widow
is dead at this point.
Yeah.
Wow. I will pivot to a director bait. I thought this was one of the best directed movies and validates the Marvel ethos of we're going to find indie directors who can direct the person-to-person scenes versus just finding, big action directors to direct their big action movies.
Well, I don't even think they have... The thing is, I agree with you. So
yeah, it's too easy.
Yeah, the thing is, though, I can't recall too many of their big action directors, like you just said. I am curious about this movie because I think we all like this movie. Is that the
this is one of my top movies this year.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We'll get that later too.
Yeah,
it's interesting because I feel like Marvel gave more maybe freedom to this movie because they didn't use green screen. For obviously there's green screen somewhere, but it doesn't feel like the Marvel movies we've been getting lately, which I think Kirk, you're kind of saying something about that.
Yeah, Captain America.
Yeah, exactly like Captain America. And they had to do reshoots, and I'm sure they did reshoots on this, as all Marvel movies do. But this one felt more cohesive. There's a few things that storylines that I think they fell through, obviously, and we'll get to that later. But I'm wondering if Marvel just didn't really care how this movie went, which is weird considering that it does lay some groundwork for a few things. So I'm not sure.
Some people compared it to Guardians 1, and like the thing with Guardians 1 was if that had failed, they could just say, okay, we're not dealing with cosmic stuff as much. We won't tie the Thanos story we've laced in as closely to it. I mean, that would be difficult, but...
Yeah, but with this, that couldn't be the case because they lay groundwork. It's interesting because this movie takes place before we're getting only one more Marvel movie before we get Doomsday.
Correct. We're getting Fantastic Four first steps before Doomsday in
which
May
I'm sure Fantastic Four is going to tie directly into what happened with Doomsday. Yeah. But then this movie also has some very key factors with what happens in Doomsday.
Avengers Doomsday,
yeah.
Well, so that we can save that for spoilers, how about we do is this the best movie post-Endgame, as some people are saying? I've written down 4 of them, and starting with Guardians. So is this better than Guardians? You think yes, so I'll take the no. Do you have, what's your stance, Tristan? I can tell you're thinking.
It's a hard I've been seeing this weird renaissance lately where Guardians of the Galaxy 3 isn't on people's top list of Marvel movies, which is weird considering all 3 Guardians movies are fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Thunderbolts is also fantastic. That is a hard one.
Because they're both character movies. Like
they are both character movies, and they've got characters that maybe generally you don't care about. It's not the Avengers. Even Guardians, even though by the time we get to Guardians 3, yes, we all love these characters because James Gunn did such a great job making us care the last few movies. Individually, they're still characters that we don't care about if we get them individually, such as same thing with Thunderbolts.
And they're losers.
They're all losers.
And they make them losers after they've won things over and over. So that's interesting. I mean, that they killed Gamora, Prime Gamora, and then brought 2014 Gamora into the 616. What?
I'm going to say, I know, this is a really hard one. Honestly, I'm going to say it is better than Guardians 3.
Okay, so why is Guardians 3 better? The Rocket story for me is huge, and I wanted a movie centered on Rocket after the 4 we had seen him in before that. 5 we had seen him in because he's in Thor 4. Because he's 2 Avengers, Thor 4, and then the 2 Guardians.
2 Guardians, 2 Avengers.
So this is Rocket's 6th movie by the time we get to Guardians 3. And I guess he's in the holiday special too. So, So we've got a lot of Rocket, and I'd wanted something centered on him. So that's why I would go this. So I'd pick Rocket over Yelena, since it's centered on Yelena, I would say.
Oh, Yelena's so good in this movie.
Agreed. No Way Home. Is this better than No Way Home? Spider-Man No Way Home.
I know this one's gonna be hard for different reasons.
Fuck. That's again what she said.
Yeah. God, it's so hard, and these are so big.
So here's my argument against why Spider-Man 3 No Way Home is below.
It is better. It is better than, like, if we're talking, I got to get out my own way. Thunderbolts is better than Spider-Man 3.
Yes, because I think to make Spider-Man 3 better, it's you're bringing in this metatextual stuff.
Yeah.
You did homework to go into the movie, whereas if you did the homework, this movie's better. If you didn't do the homework, you can follow Thunderbolts.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I hear what you're saying. I disagree with that.
It's my 3-year-old's first Marvel movie.
Which one?
Thunderbolts in a theater. It's her first Marvel movie in a theater.
Was there a child there?
I brought, not when I saw it at the same time as you. The next day, I picked them up early from school because it was gray, and my wife was going to be busy with a work dinner. So I brought them 2 Thunderbolts. I ran it by my wife first, like, can I bring them to see this movie? And I sent her the trailer, and she was like, it seems kind of intense. And I was like, can I? And she's like, yeah, okay. She saw the 3-year-old had her first A24 movie this weekend and her first Marvel movie.
Legend of Ochi?
Legend of Ochi.
I'm seeing that after this interview.
Oh, I think you'll enjoy it. It's kind of like Poochie in that anytime Poochie's not on screen, you're like, where's Poochie? What's Poochie up to?
I don't know what you're referring to.
Yeah, what the hell is Poochie?
You guys aren't Simpsons fans? Itchy, Scratchy, and Poochie?
Oh, there's a 3rd character in it?
You go watch Itchy, Scratchy, and Poochie on your Disney Plus app after you watch Avengers 2012. Shang-Chi. I could see making an argument for Shang-Chi over Thunderbolts.
Nah, Thunderbolts better.
Thunderbolts.
Shang-Chi.
So why Shang-Chi is better is because I'm more woke than you guys know. Clearly, everyone thinks that when they
Wait, no, there's more women in Thunderbolts.
That's true.
Yeah.
More women of color. There's at least 2.
Oh, well, there's 2 women of color in Shang-Chi as well.
That's weird that you're keeping track of that.
I am keeping track of it and reporting on it to the authorities.
No, Shang-Chi,
Shang-Chi, you pronounce the A like a U.
Yeah, Shang-Chi. I think it is a really solid Marvel movie, but it does get closer to the Marvel formula, whereas Thunderbolts does feel like they're trying to make it fresh again.
That movie blew my mind, I would say, more with fantastical stuff, whereas Thunderbolts did more and better practical stuff. Okay. But take the third act of Shang-Chi where they're fighting
a CGI dragon.
Yeah, the CGI dragon. I believed a dragon was there. So
what? You believe the dragon was there?
Well, yeah, and like the dragon has to exist in the same universe that Thunderbolts exist in, if we're being honest with ourselves.
Well, technically, the dragon exists in a pocket dimension, doesn't it?
That's true.
Yeah.
Fair. You're okay. I mean, at
there's
the end
also
of the,
the same world where there's a god named Bao and he's like a dumpling god. So
yeah. Wait, dumpling god named Bao? Is that
in Thor: Love and Thunder?
There's a dumpling god in Thor.
Yeah, when all the gods gather and sit around.
Oh, yeah. No.
Yeah. So we got this. Anything's possible.
Is this movie better than Deadpool and Wolverine?
Yes.
Yes.
I think that that is what most actual fans of comics will say, and like I'm wondering if the like normal movie people will see that, because it's like, to a normal movie person, I'll think of like a local producer. She would think, well, Deadpool and Wolverine made 200 million its first weekend. This only made 75, so Deadpool and Wolverine is better because it's more appealing to a broader group of people.
Well, here's another one for you. I feel like a lot of money came from fans because they didn't want to be spoiled with all the multiverse stuff in Deadpool and Wolverine. Whereas Thunderbolts, they're probably going to be less multiverse spoilers, so they can slowly go in when they want to. Yeah. That's another thing where if you're comparing Deadpool and Wolverine to Thunderbolts, yeah, it was successful because there's a lot of cameos and people like that, but did the general audience care about any of that stuff?
It's gobbledygook at the end of the day, too. It's kind of the same thing we were saying with No Way Home.
Like Henry Cavill popping up for Deadpool and Wolverine. Did anyone outside of the nerd culture give a fuck that he showed
Probably
up?
Not.
I wonder how that scene. I have to ask a real normie person. Like my wife, I remember talking to her about that, and she's like, "Oh, I didn't realize that was Superman, and I don't care."
See, he just looked like a guy that could be Wolverine.
We've argued through the 4 movies. Is there any movie you think that has a swinging shot post-Endgame against Thunderbolts?
Well, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I think that's the. You have the list on the.
I do have the list. I put my list on there. Where I'm going to pivot to is this a fantasy movie or is this a sci-fi movie? Because it's clearly a spy movie, but it's like an action spy movie.
I don't think there's a mystery in it, though.
Well, no, I mean, but
it's not really.
Is it more sci-fi or is it more fantasy? Because
if it's at the conversation, sci-fi. Every single character is sci-fi related.
Yeah, I would go fantasy because of, and we'll have to go for spoilers for more of why I feel it's fantasy. But what's the sci-fi explanation for how the villain
serum?
Okay, you're going to go with there's a magic
what they say.
Potion.
That's what it is. It's serum.
That's true. This gives me the excuse to pivot into. It's clearly a COVID metaphor, right? Like, am I crazy?
No.
Well,
I thought
because
something goes wrong in a lab and then it gets out and could affect the whole world. You're telling me that's not directly because they're making.
Wait till you find out there was movies before COVID that dealt with that same exact thing.
I know, but they're making this in a post-COVID, post-Endgame world.
No,
you're not making it in a post-COVID world.
Well, do you believe that COVID happened? Just kidding. It obviously happened.
Yeah, but no,
I think you're pulling out of nothing.
We don't know where COVID came from. It either came from a bat, pangolin,
Yeah, but they know where
or it came from
Bob came from.
Bob came from a lab. Well, what's funny is this movie has a lot of politics in it, like specifically media and how media is manipulated by government. And so how would Bob, we're in non-spoilers for another couple of minutes here, but how would that get message to the broader population in the Marvel universe?
What?
That there was just something went wrong in New York again, like, oh my gosh, we got to figure out what to do with New York because people keep.
But what got out of a lab? That's the thing.
Bob got out of the lab.
Kinda.
Because they didn't think the thing worked. and again, we'll speak obliquely. Okay, comparing it to other movies that are not in the Marvel universe. This movie was the same as Suicide Squad 2016.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the biggest comparison that people, general audience and comic book people are going to be like, oh yeah, the Thunderbolts are like the Suicide Squad.
But the plot, like with Enchantress in Suicide Squad.
Agreed. No, and based on how many people died or stayed alive, pretty much stayed the same too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we got mostly, as Elena says, do we just punch and shoot people?
Yeah.
And I remember when this movie got announced like 2 to 3 years ago, I think everyone was on the same boat in the comic book community. We're like, why? Cool. We got Ghost. Cool. You can phase through walls in a movie that people didn't really care about, Ant-Man and the Wasp. We got 3 super soldiers in Red Guardian, Winter Soldier, and U.S. Agent, and Elena. And I think a lot of people were just like, out of all the characters you could have grabbed, why did you grab this bunch? Like, oh, this movie fucking rocked.
Let's pivot into the feminism angle, because I think it's great that this.
Right.
The what angle?
I don't think they were aiming for that.
I don't think they were either, and that's why I think incels aren't complaining, because you haven't heard the same backlash from incels about this movie you hear related to, like, I don't know, Captain Marvel, which is...
Well, that's because they hate Brie Larson.
That's true. They did Brie Larson. For no reason. Leave her alone.
I'm not going after her. I'm going to make what I think their argument is, they don't like how she messaged some things. It's similar to the Snow White girl being like,
what message did she have that people were against it?
Oh, I'm going to let you finish, Taylor, but just a second. With I can't remember her name from Snow White going, we're
Rachel
not telling
Zegler.
the Snow White. What, sorry?
Oh, Rachel Zegler.
Rachel Zegler. As soon as you said Rachel, I was like, McAdams. She's not. She's in Doctor Strange. Yeah, Rachel Zegler saying, oh, we're not making Snow White, but we're making Snow White. I think that's a muddled message that could have been fine-tuned by what she meant. I haven't seen the movie.
So okay, so bringing back to Thunderbolts though, what is the feminist angle that you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, that it's why I brought my daughters to see it is that the main characters are the main character's a woman. The main antagonist, one of the main antagonists, which you can tell from the trailers, woman. And there are several scenes, not that I care about the Bechdel test that much, where 2 women with names are talking to each other and influencing the plot and having nothing to do with, their relationship to a man.
Okay, I get what you're saying. And I was actually thinking about partially the same thought when I was looking at the final roster towards the end. I'm like, oh, they double the amount of women that the Avengers had in their lineup.
By 1, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're more diverse than the original Avengers lineup.
Yeah. I guess I didn't really think of it in terms of diversity like that, but obviously, I guess as a white male, that's not on my radar as much as it probably should be.
Well, and we're dudes talking about women in movies, but I'm trying to come at it from the angle of I'm aware of the images I'm showing my daughters, and the characters, like, they're young, so they're into princesses and stuff, and I don't really want to emphasize that angle.
Yeah.
But badass spy person, I think is good for them. Fighting a complex government lady is, head of the CIA, I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. And Ghost, actually, in the comics, is a man.
Oh, and so is Taskmaster.
Yes.
So there's, women in... I don't know.
Yeah.
So go woke is what we're saying? No,
I'm just trying to pinpoint why is it that, like, people
aren't saying anything.
Yeah, and
I have a few. I think I have a few theories. One, like you said, the main character is Elena, and right now, for the time being, I hope it lasts. But Florence Pugh, people love Florence Pugh.
Oh yeah,
I think if it was Brie Larson, because it does seem to be some people pick who they're going to hate for some reason.
Well, she was political in what she was saying,
whereas
Florence Pugh wasn't making... I'm sorry, but if you make a political statement and you're part of popcorn entertainment, you either have to be in the populist part of what you're saying, but if it's something that's a 50-50 issue, 50% of people are going to bump on that. And I'm not saying she's right or wrong. I'm just pointing out the reality of the world we live in. They even mention it in the movie, like, oh, they have partisan politics mentioned in the movie. We don't know what side.
Which one? Which movie?
In Thunderbolts.
Oh, okay.
They bring up that the person, it's someone who's positive towards the CIA. So it's cognizant of being partisan toward the CIA is in this movie.
I also think, unless you go see the movie, trailer-wise and even poster-wise, You're not necessarily sure who the main character is. You can have your guess, but I think they do lean towards it could be Bucky, which everyone's thirsting over. Sebastian Stan.
Good for him.
Well, yeah, he's a great
And
actor.
the movie's surrounded by men too, so they don't have
yeah.
any way to
If it
channel the anger. Yeah,
if it was more women over men,
they probably have
then
issue with that.
like if U.S. Agent and Bucky were the only ones in there, I'm sure some creeps online would just be like, "Oh, see, look at Marvel continuing to be woke." Can you not?
Wait, can you make the how would they jump to being woke on?
If it was more women over men in the movie.
Like the Marvels. I think that's what an argument they had against
Yeah.
Marvels too. Yeah, there were too many women in this movie. 3 Captain Marvels. They're
The
too
problem with
much.
the Marvels is it was marketed wrong. It should have been marketed like how Deadpool and Wolverine was marketed towards adults looking for hard R. Marvels should have been marketed as like a family-friendly, like take your kids to go see this movie because it's kind of like Ant-Man and the Wasp in Quantumania. That's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, which is a kids movie. You wouldn't say to a 30-year-old man, "Hey, 30-year-old man, let's both go to watch Honey, I Shrunk the Kids." It's just not how that's sold broadly.
I would.
I know because you're a movie person, you're fun, but that's the difference between you and a general audience person, I would feel. Secret Invasion in the non-spoiler section, we want to say anything about if that's going to matter? It didn't matter in this movie.
It's
But
probably not gonna matter.
In the making of the original Thunderbolts, Secret Invasion mattered.
Oh.
So
How
once
so?
well, because of Secret Invasion, which was the shape-shifting aliens, the Skrulls took over the identities of several major Marvel characters. I forget which ones specifically. One being Ant-Man, I think, was one of them.
Oh, okay, cool. Wait, Hank Pym or
Yeah, Hank Pym.
Okay.
Yeah. When it came out that a lot of these were aliens, the public trust really hated the Avengers. So that's when, in the comics, Norman Osborn, if I'm not mistaken, there's so much different teams of Thunderbolts, Norman Osborn came in and was like, "Hey, I'm going to create a team.
the Dark Avengers?
The Dark Avengers." It's closer to the Thunderbolts than the original Thunderbolts team, because they had various actual villains play heroes.
Yeah.
As a trick that Baron Zemo created. But yeah, this current lineup of the Thunderbolts are closer to modern day Thunderbolts that we're seeing in the comics.
I mean, the comics, they turn out quicker, so they're definitely
Yes.
steering the ship that way. And it's all vertically part of Disney now. Let's end the non-spoiler section on who are the stars of this movie? The movie stars or the characters? Because there's a lot of,
Sorry, say that question again.
are there movie stars in this movie or are there character stars in this movie?
There is one movie star. I would say 1.5 to 2.
Who are the movie stars
Florence
in this movie?
Pugh.
Florence Pugh automatically.
Sure.
And then Sebastian Stan. But that one he goes back and forth on.
Being a, movie star?
Being a movie star to being the Winter Soldier.
I think it would be hard for Sebastian Stan to open a movie above $10 million that wasn't attached to IP. I'm not trying to denigrate him. I think
No,
he's a
I
great
understand what
actor.
you're saying. I think, with the year that he had last year, he's getting there. He
Hopefully.
had Different Man, and then he had The Apprentice, where he got nominated for playing Trump.
We saw it, Kirk
Yeah.
and I. I liked it.
Great
Wasn't
movie.
terrible, yeah.
Oh, you didn't like it?
I mean, it wasn't terrible. I think they could have
but-
dumped on Trump a lot more, but
Yeah.
We shouldn't have any empathy for that human. He's not a human. He's
Right,
inhuman.
yeah.
I didn't feel empathy, if that makes you feel better.
yeah.
So I think Sebastian Stan is getting there. Obviously, he was doing things before Winter Soldier, but him being the Winter Soldier has helped get him there. Whereas Florence Pugh, she had her Midsummer run before she became second Black Widow. So I think, and she's just doing great stuff outside of Marvel, where Sebastian Stan is finally getting there outside of Marvel. So I think he's close. Everyone else, it's the characters that matter more than the actors, unfortunately. There is not a weak actor in this movie, I should say that.
No, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Lewis Pullman is also probably one of
Who?
the.
Which
Lewis Pullman, who played Bob.
Yeah, Bob, yep.
Okay, he's and we'll save it for the spoiler section, I think, to talk about the actor changes between Iowa Debris taking over, leaving the Mel part, and then
Yeah. Was it Mel?
Yeah,
Mel
it's
was
Mel.
going to be Iowa Debris from the
Bear.
I was going to say Beef. The director of this movie directed Beef, but and then Steve Ewan for Lewis Pullman's part.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if Lewis Pullman will be able to be a movie star coming out of this because he's been in big movies.
Well, yeah, he was in Top Gun Maverick as Bob.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. And he's this wasn't a successful movie, but Bad Times at the El Royale.
Haven't seen it, but I heard that. I heard it was solid. And then we have David Harbour.
Yeah, Stranger Things.
Who that one seems to have his ups and downs. I think it is centered around Stranger Things though. But he was great. He was great as Red Guardian, but it's not going to propel his career. It's going to be continued to be like, oh yeah, no, David Harbour was good.
This is his paycheck movie. This is his paycheck
movie.
after. What?
Technically every movie that
no,
people
but there's
do
a difference
are paycheck
between
movies.
making The Apprentice, where you know you're not going to make more than $1 million, and then every Marvel movie you're starting to scratch $5 million, if not more than that.
Wyatt Russell, U.S. agent.
Right,
I thought he was fantastic. He is in a variety of smaller things. He was in the new Godzilla series.
Yeah, Monarch.
Monarch. I think he's a great actor. I think he's fantastic in this movie. Like I said, if you didn't like certain characters in other things, you will like him in this. Even Ghost, who gets very little development, there's just like little mannerisms that I really liked for her actor.
The attitude seemed to like, I don't remember her being so pithy and
well, she didn't get much time. She usually just wore her mask and was just the ghost towards the end. And then this one, she had a few years since this events of Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Did she blip? Do we know?
I'm not sure.
Well, let's
if I was her, if I knew the blip was coming, would just phase right through it.
Yeah, come back.
Would that work?
I doubt it.
All right. Well, let's end the non-spoiler there so we can get into the spoiler and talk fully.
Thank you for listening. For more on JK Productions, find us on Instagram at JK Productions Team and on Facebook, JK Productions MN.